Any occupants of the Mongols clubhouse, this is a search warrant. Come out with your hands up.
What's up, Patriots? Welcome back to America First. I'm your host, and if you believe in law and order, constitutional rights, and keeping our community safe, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We're going to dive into some serious business today that every American needs to understand. I just watched this law enforcement briefing about Operation Mongolian Beef. And folks, this is exactly what we need to see more of in this country. We have law enforcement officials doing their job, taking criminals off the streets and protecting law-abiding citizens. This is what happens when you have leadership that actually supports our police instead of defunding them.
All right, we are out here at the Mongols clubhouse as we wrap up Operation Mongolian Beef. We have 31 arrest warrants and 16 search warrants that we executed today. All of this is in result of what occurred on 44 during Bike Week. Federal government is out here, states out here, sheriff's office is out here, municipal police departments are out here. We just raided their clubhouse. We have recovered a plethora of firearms. And as I have said earlier, you lit the fuse when you acted like a bunch of scumbags on 44 and thought you were going to get away with it. Now, as we're running around seizing weapons, seizing cell phones, seizing iPads, this is just the beginning of the storm. We will be relentless in tracking down people that come into not only my community, but they come into this state and think they're going to operate a criminal enterprise.
Any occupants of the Mongols clubhouse, this is a search warrant. Come out with your hands up.
And please, do not think for a minute that the Mongols or any other motorcycle group is just these great people riding around having fun. The Mongols are recognized nationally as a domestic terroristic gang involved in extortion, murder, violent crime, theft, burglary, drugs, and they're recognized internationally. So today, law enforcement takes back the streets, and thank God nobody was killed out there. We know there were at least 7 guns out there and 4 shooters. You had people getting gas. You had kids inside of the gas station. We're not going to tolerate this lawless bullshit. We are coming to get you.
Let me break down what happened here. During Bike Week on Highway 44, members of the Mongols Motorcycle Club decided to turn a public area into their own personal war zone. We're talking about at least 7 firearms and 4 shooters in a confrontation that put innocent families at risk. There were people just trying to get gas, kids inside the gas station, and these criminals thought they could just unleash chaos in an American community. Now, I want to be very clear about something. This has nothing to do with motorcycle enthusiasts or the millions of law-abiding bikers across this country. This is about a criminal organization that law enforcement describes as a domestic terrorist gang. The Mongols aren't just some club riding around having fun. They're involved in extortion, murder, violent crime, theft, burglary, and drug trafficking on a national and international scale. What I love about this operation is the coordination we saw. Federal agencies, state police, sheriff departments, and municipal police all working together. 31 arrest warrants and 16 search warrants executed simultaneously. This is how you dismantle criminal enterprises. You don't negotiate with terrorists. You don't coddle criminals. You take decisive action. The sheriff made it crystal clear that law enforcement recovered a plethora of firearms during the clubhouse raid. They seized cell phones, iPads, and other evidence that will help build cases against these criminals. This is professional police work at its finest, and it's exactly what we need to see happening in every community across America. Now, some people might complain about the aggressive tone from law enforcement, but let me tell you something. When you have a group that's internationally recognized as a criminal organization bringing violence to American streets, putting children at risk, and terrorizing law-abiding citizens, there's no room for political correctness. The sheriff said it best when he told these criminals that this is just the beginning of a storm. This operation represents everything that's right about American law enforcement when they're properly supported and allowed to do their jobs. We have brave men and women in uniform who are willing to put their lives on the line to protect our communities from domestic terrorists. These officers knew they were going up against armed criminals, but they did it anyway because that's what heroes do. What really gets me fired up is when the sheriff mentioned that nobody was killed during this operation. That's professional police work right there. They could have gone in guns blazing, but they executed this operation with precision and restraint while still sending a clear message that criminal behavior will not be tolerated. The reality is that organizations like the Mongols prey on weak leadership and communities that don't support their police. They look for places where they can operate with impunity, where local officials are more concerned with being politically correct than protecting citizens. But when you have strong leadership that backs law enforcement, this is what happens. Criminals get arrested, weapons get seized, and communities become safer. This is also a perfect example of why we need to support our Second Amendment rights for law-abiding citizens. When criminal organizations are running around with multiple firearms, terrorizing communities, the last thing we need is to disarm good Americans who might need to defend themselves and their families. The criminals aren't going to follow gun laws anyway, so we better make sure the good guys are properly equipped. I also want to point out the federal involvement in this operation. This shows that when federal agencies focus on actual domestic threats instead of political theater, they can be incredibly effective. These are the kinds of operations that make America safer, not targeting parents at school board meetings or political opponents. The seizure of electronic devices is particularly important because modern criminal organizations rely heavily on digital communication. By grabbing those phones and iPads, law enforcement can map out the entire network, identify co-conspirators, and potentially prevent future criminal activities. This is 21st century police work at its best. What we witnessed here should be a model for law enforcement across the country. When criminal organizations think they can bring violence to American communities, they need to face swift, decisive action. No negotiations, no excuses, just professional law enforcement doing what they're trained to do. The message from this operation is clear. America will not tolerate domestic terrorism from any group, whether the motorcycle gang, street gang, or any other criminal organization. Our communities belong to law-abiding citizens, not criminals who think they can intimidate and terrorize innocent people. This is what happens when you have leadership that actually supports law enforcement instead of demonizing them. When police know they have backing from their superiors in the community, they can focus on their job instead of worrying about political backlash for doing what's right. Patriots, this operation represents the America we want to live in, a place where criminals face consequences, where law enforcement is respected and supported, and where families can go about their daily lives without fear of violence from domestic terrorists. This is what law and order looks like in action. If you support our brave law enforcement officers and want to see more operations like this across the country, make sure to like this video and subscribe to America First. Share this with your friends and family, because every American needs to understand what's at stake when we fail to support our police and allow criminal organizations to operate with impunity. Stay strong, stay vigilant, and remember that America works best when we back the blue and hold criminals accountable for their actions. Until next time, this is America First, and we'll keep fighting for law, order, and the values that make this country great.